Do you feel it, warrior? That deafening silence in a room that used to be full of life? It's a physical weight, isn't it? The ghost of a memory that sits in the empty chair across from you, that haunts the cold side of the bed. This is the modern battlefield. Not a field of mud and steel, but a landscape of digital ghosts and hollow echoes in your own home. You scroll through a perfectly preserved past on a glowing screen, a museum of a life that is no longer yours, and every image, every memory is another twist of the knife. You're adrift in an ocean of what-ifs and should-have-beens, and the exhaustion of pretending you're okay for the outside world is a heavier burden than the grief itself. Let's be brutally honest. That voice in your head, the one that whispers in the lonely hours of the night, it's your most insidious enemy. It tells you, you'll never feel whole again. It says, your best days are behind you. It lies to you relentlessly, convincing you that this pain is now your identity. The world outside offers you empty platitudes, the well-meaning but clueless friends who say, time heals all wounds, or there are other fish in the sea. They are trying to put a bandage on a mortal wound. They don't understand that this isn't just sadness. This is a fundamental shattering of your world. This pain hasn't just stolen your past. It is actively consuming your present and poisoning your future, turning you into a haunted spectator in your own life. The enemy is not the person who left. The enemy is not the circumstance that broke you. The true enemy is the weakness you allowed to grow inside your own mind. The belief that your happiness, your wholeness, was something that could be given to you by another person, and therefore could be taken away. You outsourced the foundation of your soul to something outside of your control, and when it was ripped away, your entire structure collapsed. If you do not confront this now, this pain will calcify. It will become your personality. You will become a bitter, hollowed-out man, defined forever not by who you are, but by what you lost. That is the cost of inaction, a slow, quiet death of the spirit. But what if I told you that this crushing weight, this gaping wound, is not a grave? What if it is a forge? What if the universe did not give you this pain to destroy you, but to provide you with the raw, brutal material needed to build something indestructible? There is a code, a warrior's philosophy forged in the fires of Roman battles and imperial betrayals, designed for this exact moment. It was honed by an emperor, Marcus Aurelius, who buried children, faced plagues, and led armies, yet built an inner citadel that no loss could ever breach. This is not about positive thinking or moving on. This is about forging a weapon from the very thing that was meant to kill you. Before we light the forge, you must prove you are ready to withstand the heat. This is not entertainment. It is an enlistment. Your first act of discipline starts now. Subscribe to this channel and hit the like button. This is your commitment to the battle ahead. Warriors do not enter the arena half-heartedly. Next, go to the comments and declare your war. Write the one thing this pain is forcing you to build. Don't write what you lost. Write what you will forge. It can be simple. Unbreakable self-reliance. Absolute independence. Iron resilience. Name your weapon. This is your first strike, against the voice of victimhood. In the minutes that follow, I am going to arm you with the 5 iron laws of Marcus Aurelius. These are not comforting suggestions. They are hammers. They are principles designed to shatter the illusion that you are broken and to begin the brutal, necessary work of forging an unbreakable soul from the wreckage of your heartbreak. We will not be talking about healing. We will be talking about reforging. We will turn pain into power, loss into a shield, and heartbreak into the very fuel for your ascent. The battle for your soul begins now. Pay attention. Let's diagnose the sickness, warrior, because what you think is a wound is actually a symptom of a deeper poison. Look at your body. I mean, truly look at it. You are letting the temple turn to ruin. The sleepless nights, the fuel you shovel into it that isn't fit for an animal, let alone a warrior. The workouts you skip because the weight of your own thoughts is heavier than any iron. Your body is screaming at you, a physical manifestation of the chaos in your mind. It's becoming soft, slow, and weak because your spirit has surrendered. You treat your physical vessel like a prison because you've allowed your mind to become one. This isn't just sadness, it is a self-imposed decay. The poison of inaction is flowing through your veins, and every day you let it continue, it eats away at the very machine you need to fight this war. Now look at your mission, your work, your purpose. Where is the fire? It's gone, isn't it? Replaced by a dull gray ash. You show up, you go through the motions, a ghost in a machine. The ambition that once drove you has been hollowed out because the why behind your struggle was tied to someone else. You've let your professional life become collateral damage in your emotional war. The enemy, that internal voice of apathy, is whispering that none of it matters anymore. And you are listening. You are letting your life's work, the very expression of your strength and competence in the world, wither on the vine. This is how the spirit dies, warrior. Not in a blaze of glory, but in 1,000 quiet surrenders at the desk, in the workshop, on the field. You are abandoning your post. And your tribe, the men and women you call brothers and sisters, you're pushing them away. You see their calls and let them go to voicemail. You ignore their texts. You tell yourself it's because they wouldn't understand. But the brutal truth is that you can't stand their presence because it reflects the strong man you used to be. Their well-meaning advice feels like sandpaper on a raw nerve, and their pity feels like contempt. So you build walls. You choose the cold comfort of isolation, convincing yourself it's a fortress. It is not a fortress, it is a tomb. You are cutting yourself off from the very shield wall that could protect you, choosing instead to face the horde alone because your pride would rather break in solitude than bend for help. This isn't strength. It's fear, masquerading as independence. Then there is the nightly ritual of self-torture. You know exactly what I'm talking about. The phone in your hand, glowing in the dark as you scroll through the digital graveyard of your past. Every picture, every shared memory is a fresh twist of the knife that you administer to yourself. You call it remembering. I call it what it is, an addiction to the pain. You are deliberately reopening the wound, refusing to let it scar over, because you are terrified of who you might be without it. This screen is not a window to your past. It is a portal for the ghost to enter your present and strangle your future. You are poisoning your own mind with a curated highlight reel of a life that is gone, a cowardly retreat into a fantasy because you lack the courage to build a new reality. This decay is justified by the most seductive liar of all, the voice of the victim inside your head. It whispers, doesn't it? It tells you that your pain is special, unique. It says, you have a right to be broken. Look what they did to you. It wraps you in a warm blanket of self-pity and calls it justice. This voice is the enemy. It turns your weakness into a badge of honor and your inaction into a righteous protest. It convinces you that to heal is to betray the magnitude of what you lost. It is the single most destructive force on the planet, warrior, because it makes a prison cell feel like a throne. It is the siren song of mediocrity, luring you onto the rocks of a life defined by nothing more than a scar. Let me be brutally clear. The heartbreak is not the disease. The loss is not the disease. Those were merely the diagnostic tests that revealed the pre-existing condition. The real sickness, the one that has been festering inside you for years, is this. You built the foundation of your entire world on land you did not own. You outsourced your stability, your happiness, your sense of self to another human being. You made them the load-bearing pillar of your entire emotional structure. So when they walked away, the entire temple came crashing down. This was not an act of destruction by them. It was the inevitable collapse of a flawed architecture designed by you. Your pain is not the result of their departure, but the revelation of your dependency. If you do not cauterize this wound now, I will tell you exactly what your future looks like. This pain will not fade. It will calcify. It will become the bedrock of your personality. You will become the bitter man at the bar, the cynical colleague, the ghost at family gatherings, telling the same sad story for the next 30 years. Your life will shrink, your world will dim, and your potential will rot inside of you. You will be defined not by the man you became, but by the one thing you couldn't overcome. People will not see a warrior, they will see a monument to a single defeat. This is the cost of inaction. A slow, pathetic erosion of the soul until nothing is left but a hollow shell, haunted by the ghost of the man you could have been. The choice is yours. Remain in the rubble or begin to forge. This is not a new wound, warrior. Do not flatter yourself into thinking your pain is some modern, unique affliction born of this digital age. The sickness that eats at your soul is ancient. The great Stoic thinkers, Seneca, Epictetus, Marcus Aurelius, were not dusty academics in ivory towers. They were physicians of the mind, battlefield surgeons who diagnosed this very poison 2,000 years ago. They saw it in the hearts of Roman generals, in the despair of exiled politicians, and in the quiet suffering of ordinary men who had lost everything. They looked at the wreckage of a human spirit and understood the architecture of its collapse. The disease you are fighting is the same one they declared war on. You are just the latest soldier in a very, very old war. What you feel now, they documented then. They gave it a name, and they forged the cure. The first cut of the surgeon's knife is this. The event itself is not the source of your suffering. The departure, the loss, the betrayal, these things are external. They are brute facts, as neutral as a rock falling or the wind blowing. The thing that is poisoning you, the true source of the infection, is the judgment you have attached to that fact. Epictetus, a man who was once a slave, made this brutally clear. Men are disturbed not by things, but by the views which they take of them. The fact is, she is gone. The judgment, the story you tell yourself is, my life is over because she is gone. You have taken a neutral event and declared it a catastrophe. You have willingly swallowed the poison of a flawed verdict. This is the origin of all your misery, not what happened in the world, but the meaning you chose to assign to it inside your own mind. Why did you make this fatal judgment? Because you committed the cardinal sin of the untrained mind. You staked your happiness on things you do not control. The Stoics called these externals: your reputation, your wealth, your health, and yes, the love and presence of other people. They are not yours to command. They are on loan from fortune, and the loan can be called in at any moment, without warning and without your consent. You built your entire emotional fortress on land that belonged to another. You made another person the foundation of your world. Is it any surprise that when they walked away, your entire world crumbled? This is not a tragedy, warrior. It is a lesson in architecture. You abandoned the one piece of ground you truly own, your own mind, your own choices, your own character, to defend a temporary outpost in a foreign land. The enemy didn't even have to attack your citadel. You left the gates wide open and went to die for a hill that was never yours to keep. The overwhelming agony you feel, the grief, the despair, the rage. The Stoics had a word for this. They called them passions. Not in the modern sense of enthusiasm, but in their original meaning, a sickness of the soul. These are not just feelings. They are fevers of a mind that has lost its grip on reality. They are the logical yet insane result of believing that something outside your control is essential for your well-being. You judged the loss to be an absolute evil, so your mind responded with absolute, soul-crushing torment. Your pain is not a measure of how much you loved. It is a measure of how profoundly you misunderstood the nature of life. This is the cold, hard diagnosis. Your heartbreak is not a noble wound. It is the symptom of a philosophical error. It is a failure of reason, not a failure of the heart. This entire collapse stems from a war you have been waging against reality itself. You are fighting the fundamental law of the universe, the dichotomy of control. There are things you can control and things you cannot. Your suffering is the direct result of trying to force your will onto the second category. You are trying to command the tides, to order the sun not to set. You cannot control another person's heart. You cannot control their choices. You cannot control their presence in your life. The universe just gave you the most brutal, painful, and necessary lesson of your existence. This pain you feel is the friction burn of your ego grinding against the unchangeable structure of the cosmos. You can continue to fight reality and be broken by it, or you can surrender to what is, and finally begin to command the only thing you were ever meant to, yourself. Marcus Aurelius, the emperor of Rome, the most powerful man in the world, knew this. He buried children, fought plagues, and endured betrayal. And he wrote to himself, over and over, about the one place no one could ever touch him, his inner citadel. He knew that you can retreat into your own mind at any moment and find perfect tranquility, not by hiding from the world, but by remembering that the world cannot touch your ruling center, your soul, unless you allow it to. Warrior, you suffer because you have abandoned your post. You are living as a refugee outside the walls of your own fortress. You have forgotten that your true self is not the man who lost someone, but the commander of the citadel within. Your power, your peace, your freedom, they are all waiting for you inside. But you have to have the courage to turn away from the external chaos and reclaim your throne. So know this, your pain is not special. It is not unique. It is the timeless suffering of the untrained mind. The slave Epictetus felt its threat. The wealthy playwright Seneca wrote of its cure. The emperor Marcus Aurelius battled it every single day. Slave, writer, emperor, they all fought the same internal enemy you are fighting right now. This should not make you feel insignificant. It should make you feel part of a brotherhood, a lineage of warriors stretching back through the centuries. The diagnosis has been made. The enemy has been identified. The path to victory has been mapped by the greatest souls who ever lived. The question is no longer, why did this happen to me? The only question that matters now is, will I finally pick up the weapons they left for me and begin to fight back? The time for diagnosis is over, warrior. Now we begin the forging. We do not start with gentle therapies or comforting words. We start with law. The laws of the Stoic warrior are not suggestions. They are as unyielding as the laws of physics. They do not care about your feelings. They do not bend to your pain. They simply are. And if you are to be reforged, you will obey them, starting today, starting this very second. The first law is the foundation upon which your inner citadel will be built. It is the most difficult, the most brutal, and the most liberating commandment you will ever hear. Brace yourself. The first iron law is this: you must love what happens. Read that again. Not tolerate it, not accept it, not get over it. You must actively, deliberately, and ferociously love it. I can hear the objection screaming in your mind right now. Love this, love the betrayal, love the emptiness, love the pain that feels like it's tearing my soul apart. Yes, precisely that. You must embrace the entirety of your fate as if you had chosen it yourself. Why? Because the alternative is the definition of insanity. The alternative is to declare war on reality, to wage a battle against a past that is already written in stone. It is a war you can never, ever win, and a war that is draining every last drop of your life force. Look at yourself. Every day you wake up and put on the armor to fight yesterday. You spend your precious finite energy arguing with what has already occurred. You scream at the ghost of a memory that cannot hear you. You curse a decision that has already been made. You are a soldier standing on a battlefield, firing every weapon you have at a photograph of a battle that ended long ago. This fight, this resistance to what is the source of 100% of your suffering. The event itself was a single blow. Your refusal to accept that the blow has landed is the poison you drink every single morning, hoping that somehow the past will die. It won't, but you will. This law is not about finding pleasure in pain. It is about alchemy. It is about understanding that the universe did not give you this agony to destroy you. It gave you this raw, jagged, unrefined ore because it is the exact material you need to forge the next version of yourself. A blacksmith does not curse the lump of iron for being ugly and cold. He does not wish it were already a sword. He sees its potential. He knows that with fire and pressure and relentless hammering, this useless rock can become a weapon of legend. Your heartbreak is that lump of iron. Your pain is that ore. The first law commands you to stop cursing the material and start seeing it for what it is, a gift. The brutal, unwanted, but necessary gift of raw material for greatness. To love your fate is an act of supreme power. It is not a passive surrender, it is an aggressive acceptance. It is looking at the smoldering ruins of the life you thought you would have and declaring, with ice in your veins, good. This is the ground from which I will build an empire. When you do this, you starve the enemy, the ghosts of your past, the whispers of what if, the venom of regret. They all feed on your resistance. They feast on your belief that things should have been different. The moment you give your full, unconditional assent to reality as it is, you cut off their food supply. You reclaim all the energy you were wasting fighting a phantom war, and you redirect it to the only battle that matters, forging your own character. The Emperor of Rome understood this better than anyone. Marcus Aurelius faced plague, war, betrayal, and the death of his own children, and he wrote in his private journal, not as a philosopher, but as a commander speaking to himself, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." This is the first law in practice. The very thing you believe is blocking your path is the path. The heartbreak that you think has ended your life is the beginning of your true life. The loss that has hollowed you out is the space required to build something new and indestructible inside. You don't get around the obstacle. You get through it by using it as a stepping stone. So, let us put to death, right now, the childish fantasy that life owes you fairness or comfort. The universe is not your parent. It did not promise you a smooth journey. It is a wild, untamable force, and it will give you storms. It will give you fires. It will give you loss. A warrior does not pray for the storm to pass. He learns to harness its wind. He does not beg the fire to spare him. He learns to use its heat. The first iron law commands you to cease all complaints, all whining, all cries of, "Why me?" and to replace them with a single, powerful, unshakable resolve, "This is mine, this happened, and I will use it." Your transformation from victim to warrior begins the exact moment you stop fighting what happened and start commanding what you will do with it. So how do you hammer this law into the marrow of your bones? You stop treating it like a philosophy and start treating it like a combat drill. This isn't for your bookshelf, it's for the battlefield of your daily life. The law is worthless as an idea. It only gains power when it is forged into action, second by second, in the face of the enemy. We are now moving from the war room to the front lines. The real test of a warrior is not how he thinks in the quiet of the monastery, but how he reacts under fire. Your fire comes every day in 100 small ambushes. Pay attention, because this is the drill that will save your soul. The enemy attacks through memory. A song plays on the radio, and the ambush is sprung. You walk past a restaurant you used to frequent, and the ghost is there waiting for you. You find an old shirt in a drawer, and the poison of nostalgia floods your system. The untrained man surrenders to this. He lets the wave of sadness pull him under. He indulges in the bittersweet pain, calling it remembering. A warrior does not. A warrior sees the trigger for what it is, a delivery of raw ore to the forge. Every pang of pain, every ghost of a memory is a signal. It is a call to arms. It is an opportunity to hammer your armor into shape. Your reaction to these moments will determine whether you remain a victim or become a victor. Tonight, you will begin a new discipline. You will acquire a simple notebook, not a diary for your feelings, but a warrior's logbook. You will call it the Alchemist's Journal. And every night before you sleep, you will perform a single, brutal ritual. You will write down the one memory, the one trigger, the one moment of pain from that day that hit you. The hardest. Be specific. Saw a picture of her online. Heard the song we used to call ours. Felt the crushing loneliness at 10 p.m. You will not elaborate on the sadness. You will simply log the enemy's attack. This is intelligence gathering. Then, beneath that entry, you will answer one question. And this question is the hammer that will reforge your entire reality. You will ask yourself, with brutal honesty, what strength is this pain forcing me to build? This question is an act of war against the victim inside you. It rips the narrative away from what was taken from me and focuses it entirely on what I am building now. The loneliness, it is forcing you to build unbreakable self-reliance. The jealousy, it is forcing you to forge absolute self-worth that needs no external validation. The regret, it is forcing you to build the discipline of living in the present moment. You will find that every single drop of your pain has a purpose, but only if you have the courage to demand it. So let's run the drill. The moment of ultimate trial arrives. You're mindlessly scrolling, and then you see it. A picture. Them. With someone new. They look happy. The gut punch is instantaneous. It's a physical blow. The air leaves your lungs, your blood runs cold, and the old voice of the victim screams in your ear, "You've been replaced. You meant nothing. Your life is over." The old you would have drowned in that poison for days, weeks, maybe forever. The old you would have let that single image burn down everything you were trying to build. But you are not the old you. You are a warrior in training, and you have your orders. In that exact moment, as the fire of rage and despair washes over you, you perform the ritual internally. You do not run. You do not distract yourself. You face the fire. You feel the full, searing heat of the pain. And you ask the question, what strength is this forcing me to build? The answer will come like a thunderclap through the storm in your mind. Independence. The power to witness the happiness of another and have it not diminish your own. The resilience to stand on your own foundation so solid that the storms on the outside cannot even shake the walls. The ultimate freedom of knowing that your peace is not a hostage to anyone else's choices. You are being forced to become a sovereign state, an empire of one. This is the turning point, warrior. This is where the alchemy happens. The pain does not vanish. Do you understand? The fire does not go out. But it is no longer a wildfire burning you alive. It has been contained, redirected, and channeled into the forge. It is now fuel. The ghost of your past loses its power, not because you have forgotten it, but because you have repurposed it. It is no longer a haunting specter. It is a harsh sparring partner, a relentless drill sergeant whose every blow forces you to strengthen your defense. You stop trying to exorcise the demon and start using its weight to build your muscle. This is the great secret they never tell you. The goal is not to become numb to the pain. The goal is to become strong enough to wield it. And so, a change begins. Not a loud, dramatic explosion, but a quiet, seismic shift deep within the bedrock of your soul. The world outside has not changed. The same songs still play on the radio. The same streets hold the same ghosts, but you are no longer the same man walking through them. A memory ambush is sprung, a scent, a turn of phrase, a familiar place on the horizon, and the old familiar pang of pain arrives. But something is different. The pain is no longer a wave that drowns you. It is a signal. It is the ringing of a bell in the forge, calling you to the hammer and the anvil. You feel the heat. You acknowledge it, and you immediately ask the question, what strength is this forcing me to build? The pain is still present, but it is no longer your master. It is now your subordinate, a raw material you command. The old you was a slave to his memories. The new you is an alchemist who transmutes them into steel. Look in the mirror. The change is not just in your mind, it is etched into your very physical being. The softness is gone, replaced by a hardening you can see and feel. The poison of inaction has been purged. You rise before the sun, not because you have to, but because you are a warrior, and the day is a territory to be conquered. The iron you lift is no longer a burden. It is a sacrament. The fuel you put into your body is no longer a distraction. It is a calculated act of war readiness. The man who let his temple turn to ruin is dead. In his place stands a soldier whose body is a reflection of his mind, disciplined, resilient, and ready for anything. You are no longer inhabiting a prison of flesh. You are sharpening a weapon. The world can see it in the way you walk, in the clarity of your eyes. You carry yourself not like a man who has lost something, but like a man who has built something, indestructible in its place. This newfound discipline bleeds into your mission. The gray ash of apathy that choked your work has been blown away, revealing glowing embers that you now stoke into a controlled, purposeful fire. You no longer work to distract yourself or to prove your worth to a ghost. You work for the sake of the work itself. It is your craft, your art, your battlefield. Each task is an opportunity to forge excellence, to impose order on chaos, to build. The ambition returns, but it is a different kind of ambition. It is not the frantic, needy ambition of the man who requires external applause, but the calm, unshakable drive of a master craftsman who finds his reward in the perfection of his creation. You are no longer a ghost in the machine. You are the engine. You have reclaimed your post, and you hold the line not out of duty, but out of a deep, internal command. And your tribe? The walls you built have been torn down, not by others, but by you. You answer their calls. You meet their eyes. You walk among them again. But you are not the same man who fled into isolation. You are no longer the wounded animal they had to handle with care, the black hole of sorrow that sucked the energy from the room. You do not come to them for pity or validation. You come to them as an equal, a pillar of strength. When they speak of their own struggles, you listen with a new kind of empathy, the empathy of a veteran who has seen true combat and knows the cost. You no longer fear their well-meaning but useless advice, because you no longer need it. You have your own code. You have become the source of your own counsel. You are no longer a liability to your shield wall. You are one of its strongest points. The greatest victory, however, is the one that happens in the silence between your own ears. The voice of the victim is gone. It did not fade away. You starved it to death. You cut off its supply of resistance, of regret, of should-have-beens. It died of malnourishment in the face of your relentless acceptance. In its place, there is not a chorus of forced positivity, but a profound, powerful silence. The quiet hum of the forge, the calm of the inner citadel. You no longer tell yourself the sad story of what was taken from you. That book has been closed, not because you are in denial, but because you are too busy writing the next chapter. The identity of the man who was left has been burned away, and from the ashes rises your true name. Warrior, commander, architect of your own soul. Do not mistake this for erasure. The scars remain. They are carved into you, a permanent record of the fire you endured. The old you would have seen them as marks of shame, hideous reminders of your weakness and loss. The forged you sees them for what they are. Proof. They are proof that you were tested to your breaking point and did not break. They are the intricate, beautiful patterns left by the blacksmith's hammer, showing where the steel was, folded, beaten, and made impossibly strong. You do not hide them. You carry them as a veteran carries his medals, not with arrogance, but with the quiet dignity of a survivor who knows the exact price of his own strength. You learned that the goal was never to emerge from the fire unscarred. The goal was to emerge from it unbreakable. This is the inevitable result of the forging, warrior. This is the ultimate prize. It is not happiness, which is a fleeting weather pattern. It is not peace, which can be a form of complacency. It is freedom, true, absolute internal freedom. The knowledge, bone deep and unshakable, that your foundation is now built on the only ground you will ever truly own, your own mind. You are a sovereign state. No external event, no person's arrival or departure, no twist of fate can ever again hold the power to shatter your world, because your world is no longer out there. It is in here. You did not learn how to forget your pain. You learned how to wield it as a shield, discovering that the deepest wounds forge the strongest warriors. You are no longer defined by what you lost. You are defined by what you built from the flames. You have the law, warrior. You understand the principle. But a law that is not enforced is nothing more than a suggestion. A principle that is not practiced is just a comforting lie you tell yourself in the dark. Philosophy is worthless if it remains in your head. It must be driven into your hands, into your habits, into the very marrow of your bones. We will do that now. Not tomorrow. Not next week. Now. We are going to build your daily discipline, the ritual that will serve as the hammer and the anvil in your forge. This is not a self-help exercise. This is combat training for the soul. Pay attention, because your first order is about to be issued. Tonight, you will acquire a weapon. It is simple, ancient, and devastatingly effective. It is a notebook, a plain, empty notebook. You will not call it a diary. You will not fill it with the whining and weeping of a victim. This is your alchemist's journal. It is a warrior's logbook, a record of battle, an intelligence report on the enemy's tactics, and a blueprint for your own fortification. Every single night without fail, before you surrender to sleep, you will open this logbook. This is not optional. Discipline is not a mood. It is a commandment. The consistency of this ritual is the fire that keeps the forge hot. Miss one night, and you let the fire die down. Miss two, and the steel begins to cool. The first step of the ritual is reconnaissance. You will scan the events of the day and identify the enemy's most effective strike. You will log the single most painful memory, trigger, or moment of weakness that ambushed you. Be brutally specific. Felt sad today is the report of a coward. At 2:17 p.m., the song Our Song played in the grocery store, and the memory of her laughing in my car triggered a wave of crippling nostalgia is the report of a warrior. You will name the ghost. You will record the time and place of its attack. You will look the pain directly in the eye and document its existence without flinching. This is the act of dragging the enemy out of the shadows and into the light where you can see it for what it is. Once the attack has been logged, you will begin the alchemy. Beneath your report, you will write one question. This question is the hammer blow. It is the single most powerful weapon you have against the voice of the victim. You will write, "What strength is this pain forcing me to build?" Read that again. It is not, "What can I learn?" or "What is the silver lining?" Those are the questions of a spectator. This is the question of a commander. It presupposes that the pain has a purpose, that the obstacle is a training ground, and that the universe is not punishing you, but arming you. This question rips the narrative away from the enemy and places the power squarely back in your hands. It transforms the poison into a prescription. Let us run the drill. The log entry for tonight reads, "Attack. Saw a picture of them online with someone new. 10:30 p.m. Searing pain in my chest. The voice screamed, 'You are replaceable.' Now, you bring down the hammer. You write the question, 'What strength is this pain forcing me to build?' And you answer it with cold, hard logic. It is forcing me to build absolute independence. It is forging a self-worth so solid that it requires no external validation. It is teaching me that my value was never something she gave me, and therefore is not something she can take away. It is forcing me to become the sole source of my own approval. Do you see? The event has not changed. The pain is still real. but you have just hijacked its energy and used it to reinforce your own citadel. This is your new reality, warrior. This is the daily grind. You will perform this ritual every night, especially on the nights you don't want to, especially on the nights the pain feels overwhelming. That is when the training matters most. Each entry in your journal is another hammer blow on the steel of your soul. At first, it will feel forced. Then, it will become a habit. And finally, it will become your nature. You will find that your mind begins to ask the alchemical question automatically. In the very moment a trigger strikes, the pain will no longer be a signal to retreat and suffer. It will become a signal to stand your ground and forge. The forge is cold. Your orders are clear. Begin tonight. The battle is not over, warrior. It is never over. What we have done here is not provide a cure, but issue you your weapons and your orders. The laws are simple, but they are not easy. You will love what happens not because it is pleasant, but because it is the raw material for your strength. You will distinguish between what you can control and what you cannot, and you will cease your insane war against reality. You will take every ambush of memory, every ghost of the past, and you will drag it to the forge. You will ask the question that turns poison into power. What strength is this pain forcing me to build? This is the code of the Stoic warrior. It is not a philosophy to be debated. It is a discipline to be lived every single day until it is as natural as breathing. Look at the man you were when this began. A ghost haunted by ghosts, a slave to memory, a prisoner of a past you could not change. That man is dead. He died in the fire of this forge. The man who stands in his place is an architect. He is a blacksmith. The scars you carry are not marks of a victim. They are the etchings of the hammer, the proof that you were tested by fire and did not melt. You did not get over your pain. You absorbed it. You transmuted it. You learned that the heartbreak did not destroy you. It destroyed the weak, dependent version of yourself that needed to die. You are no longer defined by what was taken from you. You are defined by the unbreakable thing you built in its place, an inner citadel, a sovereign soul. But do not become complacent. The enemy does not rest. The world will test you again tomorrow. A song will play. A memory will surface. The old voice of weakness will try to whisper in your ear. Your discipline is your shield wall. Your daily ritual, the alchemist's journal, is the sharpening of your sword. This is not a battle you win once. It is a war you win every single morning when you rise to meet the day on your terms. Every choice to face the pain instead of numbing it, every moment you choose strength over self-pity, is another victory. The warrior is not the one who never feels fear or pain. He is the one who feels it all and acts anyway. So I leave you with your final decree. Etch this into the walls of your mind. Let it be the first thing you hear in the morning and the last thing you repeat at night. It is the law of the warrior, the creed of the alchemist, the ultimate truth forged by the emperor himself. It is this: the impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. Your wound is not your grave. Your wound is your weapon. Now go and use it. If this battle has ignited the forge within you, then prove it. Your final act of discipline starts now. Go to the comments and write the one phrase, the one declaration that will guide your war for the next 7 days. Make it your shield. Make it your sword. Then share this call to arms with another warrior who is lost in the dark and needs to be reminded of the fire within him. Subscribe to this channel to continue forging your mind. The discipline is daily. We will see you in the arena.